Trenton 365 with Jacque Howard. Profiling the businesses, organizations, and people that make Trenton better.
Hello, friend, and welcome to the Trenton 365 show. I'm your host, Jacque Howard. You're listening over WIMG 1300, New Jersey's oldest radio station and a three-time Stellar Award-winning station in a small market based out of Trenton, New Jersey. And if you're watching, it's over WPHY Channel 25, covering Mercer County, New Jersey. Archives of this and my other interviews are available on the website, Trenton365.com. You can also follow us on Facebook, Trenton 365 Show. You can post your events to the Trenton 365 community calendar page as well. And you can also follow us on Twitter if that's part of your handle as well. And that is Trenton 365 Show. Back in the studio with me is glitch artist, and I'm going to be jumping back and forth with either glitch artist or regular artist or fashion designer, Philip Mcconnell. And Philip, since he was here earlier this year, has just taken off. I mean, not necessarily because of being on the show, but because his work is getting recognized not only locally, but I'm talking regionally, and I'm sure it won't be long before he's a nationally known and recognized artist, especially in his particular genre, which is glitch art, and we'll be getting into the details of exactly what that is in just a moment. But without any further ado, Philip O'Connell, welcome back to the Trenton 365 show.
It's a pleasure to be back.
Awesome. So let's just get right back into sharing a little bit about your history and then jump into what glitch art is. And for those of you who are watching on TV, if you look at his sweatshirt, that will give you a general idea of what it is. And I think you're doing a little Facebook Live as well?
Yeah.
All right, that'll work too. What up, Facebook? All right, so Philip, so a little background information about who you are and what it means to be a glitch art.
Well, my name is Philip Mcconnell. I'm a 26-year-old glitch artist, essentially. Basically, what glitch art is, it's manipulating the computer code of a picture and distorting it in a way that brings out different colors and different aspects of it. The way that I kind of talk about it now, it's an abstract, surrealistic digital art. It's something it's not well known, but for those that know, they know. There's several different styles of glitch art, but a style that's unique to me is more of the aesthetic glitch. It's more or less glitching for not just destroying a picture, but destroying it and rebuilding it. Like the current show I have up now in Cranberry, the title of the show is called Digital Alchemy, where the concept of alchemy is taking something, breaking it down, and then rebuilding it to something else. Back in the Middle Ages, alchemists' main goal was to create gold from regular metal. So they would take metal, put it through a chemical process in order to try and create gold. With this art style, I've tried and done the same thing, but, not with metal, but with pictures. And a lot of the pictures are things that either I've taken or friends of mine have taken. Like I have a beautiful picture that Habib took. You know Habib, right?
Habib, who's been on the show as well. And he's shout out to Habib, who is also another artist. I would say younger because he's younger than me, but he's doing some amazing things as well.
Talented photographer.
And he's got a couple of shows. He's getting a lot of national and regional press right now as well.
I was working with him on a project, and I even tapped him. I'm currently working on a book of poetry with another friend of mine, Paris, who's a phenomenal poet. Like if his poetry was an instrument, it'd be a harp. It's beautiful. But I'm working with him on that, but pretty much the goal that I'm trying to accomplish now is just taking it a step further. I'm trying to work on a program that it'll pretty much let you watch the pictures glitch from your phone, sort of like the same way that the Snapchat filter. It's interactive. I mean, not really interactive, but it's like you hold your phone up and it moves. So that's kind of what I'm working on now. That's the next step that I'm trying to take it towards.
Mm-hmm. Now, when you were on the show before, you went into your background and your history, where you went to college and so forth. Have you always wanted to be involved with computers or digital, I don't even know what to call it, like digital software manipulation?
Yes and no. I always liked the concept of hacking, but I've never delved into it. actually my freshman year, I was in the library and we had to write a report on culture. And I'm very big on counterculture, so I was doing research on just different types of counterculture, and I came across the hacking culture. And since then, like, I instantly fell in love with it. Like, I'm sure everybody had LimeWire at some point. There's just the ability to to take control pretty much, and just, you can do anything you want on a computer. Like, literally anything you can dream of, anything you can imagine, you can create. There's a software out there, and if not, there's code for you to build it. Literally everything is conceivable, and just the ability to make anything at my fingertips is what I get the greatest joy from, because I can't draw. For some reason, there's a disconnect between my mind and my hand. It just doesn't translate well. But with digital art, I'm able to take this thing that I see and then create it. And even now, I've been making glitch art so long that that's how I look at the world now. I look at the world in distortions. Before, I looked at it in layers and hues and colors and contrast. But now I look at it, well, that would look good if this was over here, this was over here, this was down here. So now I view the world in distortions. I look at the way, you've seen The Matrix, right? You know, when they're looking at the codes of line and they're like, oh yeah, they're going at it, they're fighting. But to us, it just looks like codes of lines. That's how everything looks to me now. I look at it in lines, and I look at it in ways that how can I work with this line? What can I do to this line to get this section over here?
So you'd mentioned that you can't draw, and when I say can, I mean, when you said that, I know that you can draw.
I mean, I can.
To some extent, but for it to be translated to the level where you're comfortable with, you don't consider yourself being able to draw. So what does it mean then for you, the title of artist? Is it the process of the creation and whatever the medium is? Or, some people may say, okay, well, you're not actually physically doing something with your hand, then it's not really art. So can you just elaborate on your expression of that?
That's a big disconnect between traditional artists and digital artists, is the fact that it's easy to create digital art, but just because something is easy does not mean you have to take the easy way through it. The process of glitch art that I use a basic text editor for everything. So I'm literally in there writing lines of code by hand. I mean, granted, I'm not scribing it, but I'm typing it. And just the way that I do it, I try to keep the process as analog as possible. And by me using my photography, I have to go out and create my source image. I have to go out and create colors. The same way that a painter mixes colors before they paint, I have to do that, but with pictures. So I'm still doing the same mediums as a traditional artist. It's just a different aspect. Like my girlfriend, she's a painter, and she's a very talented painter. And just watching her process from taking two different colors and creating this different color, and then using that color to paint the back of the canvas, and then putting something over it and then under it, like, watching her process has influenced me in the way that I make art now. I have a section of pictures saved on my computer it's just palette. I use it as my color palette. I use those pictures to create other pictures. Then there's strictly 4 colors. Like, I'll go out and I'll shoot a picture of the sky, and I'll use that section of blue for something else other than just the sky. Or I'll use the green from the trees because I like how bright it is and how vibrant it is, and I'll use that somewhere else.
Now, that is part of what I'd like for you to drill down on. And for those of you who are listening and watching, possibly for the first time, this may get a little technical. As I expand and progress in what I consider creation and the art that I like to do, mainly for therapy, I'm going to be asking you some of those questions. So you just laid it out, like the creation of the palette, where you're getting those concentrations from, whether it's from something you've seen in the sky or from the green of the trees, etc. And you create this virtual palette, but it's also a digital palette that's actually tangible, that you can manipulate, and you always have it, as opposed to going to the store as a painter and buying blue ochre or whatever, and then having to go back and re-buy it. You just have an endless amount of data that you've created and made yourself. Is that correct?
And then even to take it a step further, I like to shoot in low shutter speed. So sometimes with low shutter speed, you're able to, it's pretty much for capturing movement. And you can the way the shutter works is it brings in light, and then as it brings in light, it captures the image. but the more light that it brings in, the faster it takes the picture. The less light it brings in, the more delayed the picture is. So if I'm moving my hand, you'll see the movement of my hand because of how it's capturing it. So I'll play around with different aspects of photography to get different results. So the blue that I take today might be different than the blue I take 5 minutes ago or 5 minutes after, depending on how I shoot it. And then even still, like, the sky is naturally a color palette. The sky naturally goes from bright blue during the day, and then there's the sunset, which it has the greens, the orange, the reds, the purples, and then it's purple at night. It's black at night. And then even with that, there are still clouds, and then the clouds are a different color at night than they are during the day. And if you're lucky enough, you catch a full moon, which varies depending on where you're at in the world, what color it is, and then depending on if it's a harvest moon or if it's a blue moon or if it's a wolf's moon. Like, there's so many determining factors on these different colors that I try and pull from.
Mm-hmm. Now, we're going to get back into the technical portion of your creation and art in general, but you've touched on the metaphysical, which is something that we spoke about a lot before.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that, especially from someone who's your age. And I don't say that to demean you or anyone else that's your age, but generally those kinds of conversations aren't conversations you have with people who are under 30, and we'll get into the 30 under 30 in just a moment. Yeah. But can you just talk about the metaphysical aspects or the mysticism that you subscribe to?
As far as subscribe, I don't subscribe. I'm a student to everything. I study as much as I can. Any book I can get my hands on, I like to read. Knowledge is power. And the more knowledge you have, the more knowledgeable about something you are, the powerful you are in a sense. So my thing is, I just like to read in general, anything from just random fiction. Like my favorite author is H.P. Lovecraft. I love his work. I love the way that he constructs a story from start to finish. My favorite poet is Edgar Allan Poe. I love the way he just conveyed emotion through his words. Like, I've never met that man, but I can tell what he was feeling when he was writing that. And that, like, just being able to feel what someone is doing that transcends time, transcends space. Like, he is forever immortalized because of his work. Mm-hmm. So just stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And when you say that you like reading and you read lots of different things, is there anything that's currently on your shelf or on your table, your desk, that has captivated you recently?
Currently, I find myself rereading the 48 Laws of Power, because now, when I first read it, my uncle gave me the book when I was in high school, and at the time I read it, and it was, I understood some of the concepts, but now that I'm older and I'm a manager at my job, it's different, because now I'm looking at it through the scope of a 26-year-old. I turned 27 August 10th. But I'm looking at it through the scope of a 26-year-old, whereas before I was looking at it through the scope of a 16-year-old. My world is vastly different now, and the politics and the things that I have to do are different. And the things that I'm doing, they're different. I've also been studying about the dog star a lot, Sirius, and how the Egyptians believed that the dog star was the true sun, whereas our yellow sun is the sun for the physical. The dog star was the sun for the metaphysical, the spiritual. Mm-hmm. So just the fact that they had a concept as vast as that then, and where certain philosophers and things like that have taken it now, it's just, I like to study everything from that to here, in between.
Great. I'm speaking with Philip Kon-el, who is a artist, and we're going to say artist, and we'll be jumping back and forth with glitch artist and artist Philip O'Connell, glitch artist. We're going to be talking about a lot of different things in the next hour and change, or 45 minutes or so. You're listening and watching the Trenton 365 show. If you'd like to send an email, you can do so at trenton365show@gmail.com, and we'll be right back.
Where did McDonald's get the inspiration
for our new signature crafted recipes?
From all the people who walk through our front doors every day.
You bring your flavor to the world, we bring ours
to you.
Choose your own recipe sandwich. Pico guacamole, sweet barbecue bacon, or maple bacon Dijon. With your choice of beef or chicken starting at $4.99. For a limited time, prices and participation may vary.
So I can get any size Coke for just $1 at McDonald's?
Yes.
A medium?
Mm-hmm.
Even a large?
Hey, you're starting to catch on.
Oh, what about a small large?
If a small large was a real thing, then yes, it would also be $1.
I don't think this day could get any better.
I'll throw in a striped straw.
Oh, you don't have to.
You'll need it anyway.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
It also makes sense to stop into McDonald's and get an ice-cold, refreshing, any-size Coke for just $1. A la carte only. Price and participation may vary.
Welcome back to the Trenton 365 show. I'm your host, Jacque Howard. In the studio with me is Philip Mcconnell, who is an artist. We're just going to say artist, and we'll talk about the different variations and the different genres that he touches in. So, Philip, you were talking just before that short break, you were talking about like glitch art being the manipulation, and it's an abstract effort that you're doing. And then I had mentioned to you about how there's this, I guess, dichotomy of people who say, well, it's all done on computers. It's not really art. But then you went into detail, talking about how you create your own palette based upon the colors that you're taking from nature, from your own photography, manipulating them and creating this infinite color palette that you can alter. That's always available and accessible to you. Can you just drill down on that process a little bit more?
More or less, it's just me. Like, I'll go out for a day and just snap random pictures, or I'll even snap pictures on my phone as well. And it's just the eye that I've developed for it, because I've been doing it as long as I have. I can see something and say, oh, well, I don't like the whole picture, but I like this one part. And if I can take that one part and use that to build something bigger, like, it's all about, I look at the micro to develop the macro. I look at the smallest parts of something to develop the bigger parts of it. Because at the end of the day, even with a painter, it's still the same thing. They look at, how can I take this blue and how can I take this yellow to make this different color? Is taking an image from your mind and then transcribing it to a canvas or to wood. Like a good friend of mine, Addison, he likes to paint on wood, and his pictures are just like, I don't understand how his mind works. Like, his stuff is amazing. And then the same thing with Picasso. You know, everybody knows Picasso. Like, Picasso's work is just like, where is the thought process? How does point A lead to point B? And it's more or less how an artist looks at the world. I'm pretty sure that's how Picasso looks at the world, that he's able to paint and draw the way that he does. Addison, same thing. It's all perspective. Well, your subjective perspective.
Now, when you say that, again, we were talking about how some folks who are more traditionalists will say, okay, if you're an artist, you have to use this particular medium. You have to paint. You have to do it on canvas, etc. But as our minds and our experiences progress, there's more and more people who are doing different things. Like you mentioned, Picasso, Addison, yourself, Habib, all trying to express themselves through what they're seeing in their own eyes, and it's becoming way more acceptable, which is why I'm super stoked about art in general, because for a long time, I believe that as human beings, we limited ourselves with saying, okay, well, what is architecture? What is detail? And you just mentioned micro to macro. Well, for yourself, and combining your photography with your digital work, can you just talk about the correlation of those two things?
Well, it's like alchemy, like I said. Like, I'll take two different elements and fuse them together to create this whole other thing. And it's more or less taking photography a step further, because eventually you're starting to see glitch art become more prominent in media, and it's slowly but surely making its way, because that's the next step, that's the next wave, that's where media is headed, because it's flashy, it looks cool, it's bright, it's vibrant. Now, granted, my glitch art is different than the mainstream artists that are making glitch art. I say that as humbly as possible, but there's just a difference between what that is and what this is. Like, they do it more for brands, and they do it more for brand recognition, or because they see the trend, they see the wave that's coming, and they're trying to get ahead of it. But I feel like it's just taking photography a step further, to be honest. Like, it is a next step. It is the gradual evolution of it. Mm-hmm. Not so much the distortion aspect of glitch art, but more or less the aesthetic aspect of glitch art. Just, if you look at futuristic movies, you'll see neon lit billboards that distort slightly, or you'll see signs that do it. Or even if you look at some other YouTube videos, their intros are glitch art. Mm-hmm. It's a different form of glitch art. They won't call it glitch art because they don't know that it's glitch art, but that's what it is. And that's the wave that we're headed towards. Mm-hmm.
Now, speaking about glitch art, could you describe a movie or something that has representation of a form of glitch art in it that would maybe trigger some people to say, oh, that's what he's talking about?
There's a old video by Kanye West called Welcome to Heartbreak. In the video, it's all data moshing. And what data moshing is it's a video style of glitch art where it pretty much, one scene melts into the other and they bloom like just colors. But data moshing is a visual style. It's a video style of glitch art. As far as pretty much you see it a lot in hip hop. There's a Playboy Cardi, Magnolia. I think that's how you pronounce it. He just put out a video, and 90% of the video is glitch art. It's all distortions. It's all just slight cuts in the picture that look different, like stuff like that. And even, what else? There's a Breakfast Club. Their intro for their videos, it's glitch art. Mm-hmm. The pictures distort slightly, and it's them posing in different poses, but it's glitch art. And a lot of people wouldn't readily see that and understand it, but me being a glitch artist, I can see that and say, okay, I know what that is. I recognize that. Mm-hmm.
So you think that we're going to continue to see glitch art evolve into more, I guess, movies or video?
I believe so, yeah. I think that I feel like that is a next step. It's not the only next step. Like, virtual reality is a real thing. Like, I bought a virtual reality headset for my niece. She's 7. So she's already growing up with the technology. When I was 7, if you had told me that I could look at something in 3D and it'd be a video game, I'd have laughed at you. But now she's growing up with this technology. She knows how to use an iPad, all the intricacies of this technology that I had to grow up with to learn. She just readily understands it. And it's only going to get deeper with the way that technology runs. Then you have augmented reality, which is, I don't know if you play Pokemon Go, but augmented reality is it puts something in the room with you. It's not readily there. It's on your phone screen, but it's still there with you. And it's not able to interact with your environment, not yet, but it's coming.
Mm. Phil, can you share your contact information?
My name is Philip Mcconnell. My Instagram is ME_KON_EL.
Now, you've had a bunch of shows recently, and you have one that just opened this past weekend. Some of the details about that show.
That show is titled Digital Alchemy, and it's funny how that show came about. I was actually at Art All Night 2 years ago, and I had a piece up. It was my first Art All Night because I've been out of the city because I was in school for the last 6 years, and then I've just got involved in the art scene, and then Art All Night happened. So I put the piece up, and someone from the gallery contacted me about it and said, we would like to put your work in the show. We like your work. It's different. So fast forward 2 years from now, fast forward a year later, I have my first solo show of the year. And the title of the show is called Digital Alchemy. It's where I take pretty much photography and blend it with glitch art just to show my perspective view of the world. Since then, I've also been gifted with several other solo shows. I have a solo show, and I have 2 solo shows in August. The latter of which is at Bishop Gallery in Brooklyn. And the way that came about was I have a good friend, his name's Ransford, right? Ransford works for Success Academy. Ransford went to the gallery because his school children were doing a event there, And he's showing the gallery owner my work because he's just a really good friend. Like, he's always plugging my stuff. And he was scrolling through his phone, showing him my work, and the guy was like, all right, put me in contact with him. Then fast forward 3 weeks later, now I have a show there at the end of August. And that's also a solo show. And then I also have 2 solo shows in September, one in Lambertville and one in Bristol, PA. And then October, I have one at Calm Waters Cafe in Bristol, PA. Also a solo show, but that one will be mainly photography with a mix of glitch art, but mainly photography stuff, low shutter speed stuff. How that came about was I was outside taking pictures of the moon, and I was shooting in low shutter speed, and I caught the clouds moving, like the actual movement of the clouds, but you can see that there's one stagnant tree there, and the tree is well lit, the tree is well illuminated, and you see the moon in the background, but all you see is just the rushing of the clouds back and forth. And that gave me the concept for the show. I was like, I gotta make a bunch of these. So
now you had mentioned that you have some photography that, and I apologize if I'm not explaining it properly. You will do a better job, I'm sure. That's multiple images captured, but it's almost time lapse. Yeah. Can you share that?
It's part of a series called Vanity, and in this series, it's just a picture of the moon, but it's accompanied by 4 other pieces, and these 4 other pieces are just different styles of coding. Like with one, I used a hex editor, and I mainly deleted all the zeros out of it, and then the other one I used the text editor, normal way I do it, and then the other one is more aesthetic. It's more about the colors and things like that. So it's 4 pictures but derived from the same source image, and I have the source image printed out on canvas so you can see. So when I'm explaining to people, like, this is what I can do with it, these are just different aspects of it, and that's just one of the series that I have.
Now, how well received is your artwork? Because oftentimes I think people get caught up into thinking not necessarily what they like do they want to buy, but I think people as a mass audience buy art to fit something that they have. My powder room, I want to put a piece of art in the powder room, and the colors of my powder room are this, so I'm going to seek out a piece of art that goes there. So I have a whole issue with that. But can you just share a bit about how well received your work is?
The main people that buy my stuff are collectors because they see something different. It's not like anything else that's out there. And I say that as humbly as possible. That's only because I've been guided by my mentors, and they've helped me develop my style to the point to where if you see glitch art, my name is next to it. If you see this thing, you automatically recognize that that's me. But that's the main people that purchase the canvases are either galleries or collectors. I don't really get a lot of just regular people buying the stuff, and I don't know, maybe because it's different, because it's something so once it becomes more mainstream and you start to see more of it, it'll become the norm. It'll be like, okay, well, I see what this is, so I like this, or I like this. Every now and again, someone will buy one for their home, every now and again.
Now, we're just about up on a break, and we're going to get back into talking about the people who are purchasing your work, because I know it's critical for this growing economy of art, for the marketplace to be there, not only for the artists, but also for the purchasers and for the retail establishment that sells it. We'll get into that a little bit more after the break. But briefly just touch on, in like 30 seconds or so, touch on your fashion, such as the sweatshirt that you're wearing, the hoodie.
Well, the sweatshirts and the hoodies are part of a series called Just Like Dope, where it's wearable art. And long term, what I want to do is create a wearable art show where it's interactive with models and people, but the canvases will correspond with the actual sweatshirts and the hoodies, and I'm also working with a talented designer as well on that.
That's fantastic. I'm speaking with Philip Mcconnell, artist, and we'll be talking about his segment of art that he's touching base with, not only photography but also glitch art. You're listening and watching the Trenton 365 show, and we'll be back after a short break.
Come see the future stars of the New York Yankees play for the Trenton Thunder. Top prospects will play at Arm & Hammer Park all summer long. Join us for Super Value Tuesdays where kids eat for free and all fans can purchase $1 hot dogs. Thursdays are Thirsty Thursdays with a great special on drinks. And stick around after the game for fireworks on select Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights. Get your tickets at TrentonThunder.com.
Did you just look down at your phone? You did it again, didn't you? You know, you're flying down the road in a 3-ton hunk of steel, and a text takes your eyes off the road for an average of 5 seconds. At 55 miles per hour, that's long enough to travel the length of a football field and cause some serious damage. Turn it off. Trust me, whatever it is, you'll live.
Learn more at StopTextsStopWrecks.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
Have you ever needed help and not known where to find it? For more than a century, Catholic Charities Diocese of Trenton has been offering assistance to people of all faiths in central New Jersey. We envision a world where all people reach their full potential, achieve self-sufficiency, and live in a just, compassionate society. Our services include help with rent or utilities payments, financial counseling, family and individual counseling, substance abuse treatment, and domestic abuse prevention and treatment. For more information about our broad array of services, please visit us at www.catholiccharitiestrentton.org or call us at 1-800-642-0218. Many of our services are offered free or are based on ability to pay. This message is from Catholic Charities, renewing lives and restoring hope for more than a century.
GS Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes?
How could he do this to you? And for Sheila, she has split ends.
B, console her.
Oh, sweetie, this is going to happen a lot. 4, maybe 5 more times before you get married.
C, take charge.
Got to get this all straightened out. Give a little talking to, man, mano a mano. Hey, Steve! Is now a good time? No? Okay, no problem. Bye.
Or D, help her find a new boyfriend.